This is the all-new Seat Leon, and today we're going to review it. Radical! Today we are reviewing the sporty FR model. Please do let us know what you think of it in the comments. Personally, I'm a big fan. Love the aggressive front bumper, the 18-inch two-tone alloys, and just the overall sleek, sexy look of the Leon. Personally, much prefer it to the new Golf. So come with me and we'll have a look around. We'll have a look in the boot, back seats, up front, take it for a spin, and hopefully come to some all-encompassing conclusion. Basically, is it better than the Golf? Looks better to me. It's up to you otherwise. Now, the back is also very pretty. I am a big fan of this coast-to-coast Knight Rider-esque light, which at night is just really pretty and just lights up the back. Excellent. On the more practical side of things, to open the boot, you push the S badge up. Very nice. To reveal 380 litres of space. It's a decent space, quite functional, but this load lip is high. So you can fit your scooter in there, and your helmet, and your charger. You can fold the seats down flat to reveal 1200-ish litres of space, which makes it quite a practical, useful space, and there will eventually be a sports tour or estate coming with 620 litres on the basic boot space. If you're after a bit more practicality, and it still looks just as good and maybe even a bit better in my eyes. I am a big fan of estates though. Now this is excellent. I don't really have any complaints. Knee room, brilliant. Headroom, brilliant. I'm 6 foot. I'm behind myself at 6 foot. I'm very comfortable. Can't really complain, which is nice. In terms of bits of extras back here, well, we have control of our air conditioning, which is always nice in the back. You can be forgotten. 2 buttons, hot and cold, simples. Below that, you have USB, but not standard USB, USB-C, and 2 of them. So keep that in mind if you have a phone that's maybe a bit older, like me, or you don't have that connection. It will be a pain in the arse. Down here, we have a nice leather armrest with 2 cup holders, and you can fold this down to reveal a ski hatch for longer items. Honestly, excellent. Do you know what? I'd even say I'd be okay in the middle. Like, not particularly comfortable, and if there was 3 of us, but I'd survive. Yeah, really good. Might not move. This is comfortable. Not doing the rest of the review. I'm going to stay here. I'm happy. Okay. So, sitting up front in the Leon, well, a few weeks ago we had the A3 on the channel, and you can see some of the design cues that have obviously dropped down from the likes of the Audi and the Golf to the Leon. But the materials used aren't quite of the same quality. The fabric isn't as dense, the leather isn't real, I'd say, and just some of the plastics and stuff aren't as high quality. Now, I've not been in the new Golf, but I'd imagine that's obviously in between the two. We'll move on from the siblings and just talk about the Leon. So, today we're in the FR Sport, so you get these kind of hugging, sporty seats with some nice orange stitching and kind of honeycomb fabric. That orange stitching travels right around to the steering wheel. Is orange more sporty than red? Please do let us know in the comments. We solve the most important questions here at Cars Ireland. Is orange more sportier than red? I think it might be. Either way, I do like it on the Leon. It lifts the interior ever so slightly. If you feel like parting with your hard-earned cash to pick up a Leon, pricing starts at about €24,000. The car we're in today starts at 32 grand for the 2-litre DSG diesel, and we have about 3 grand worth of extras. So 35 all in for this specific model. Some of those extras include the paint at about €700. It's kind of a dull colour on the Leon, and I would recommend maybe some of the brighter stuff. Just, it brings out the overall style of the car much better. Some other extras include the sat nav at like 800 quid. You have to pay for the black roof, which is, I don't know, a bit unfair. I think that's about 300 quid. Wireless charging, about 200. And a safety pack with like side assist and stuff for another 800 euro. So yeah, pricey options, but would I recommend any in particular? Wireless charging is nice, and I'll get back to that in a minute. Now visually, I do like it. It took me a second to kind of come around to it, but the more I'm in it, the more I do like it. This kind of dash just wraps around and it's sort of separated here in the middle, in this little chunky dash part. Yeah, oh, it's actually nice and soft too. And it's got a cool little interwoven weaved design, much like the seats. As part of that wraparound feature, you have some ambient lighting that just runs all the way across the dash and down here. And a nice little feature that I don't think most people know or care about, but it's got blind spot monitoring. And most cars just put a little yellow light on your wing mirror. But say I've done something a bit different with it, and when something is in your blind spot, this lights up rather than your wing mirror. I know that's trivial, but it is a nice little touch and just something a bit different, and I do like it a lot more than I probably should. Running down the center console, as I said, wireless charging here, a nice little spot for your phone, decent spot for your key as well, and it's actually indicated on the little rubber mat that that's where you put your key. The Volkswagen Group's new gear selector, which is, I've said this in a different review, but it's sort of like a kettle switch. You pop it up and down. Two cup holders, which are quite small, one bigger than the other, and one really small one. So the bigger one, you can't fit your larger water bottle in there. And then there's a really small one that will fit maybe $20 starburst. Pretty sure that's a good metric for volume. Starburst. You also have storage in your armrest and a 12-volt socket. It's quite narrow, but you can store things like your wallet, your mask, your hand sanitizer, all the stuff we need nowadays. Glove box is a good functional size, open space, and will take most of what you need. Now, one larger annoyance I have found is that the USB issue from the back translates to the front, and you only have USB-C. So, like me, I only have the older connection and I couldn't use that all week. So wireless charging might come in handy if you have a phone that has wireless charging, which I don't. Maybe I need a new phone. All in all, this is very comfortable, very nice place to be, and I won't have any major complaints beyond that USB problem. The infotainment is very detailed and it does involve a bit of a learning curve, but it does look really well and it has lots of customization options. The digital cockpit is also very similar in its approach with loads of customization, and it is very visually pleasing too. Okay, so before we go driving, I might just cover engines because there's quite a few on offer. Everyone is well covered in the engine department. There is a 1 litre TSI and a 1 litre TSI with mild hybrid. That is an E-TSI. That'll have 115 horsepower. Then we jump to a 1.5 TSI, which also is available as an E-TSI in a mild hybrid, both at 150 horsepower. Next on the list there is a 1.4 hybrid with 205 horsepower. That's not quite out yet, I don't think, and will be here soon. Moving on from petrol, we have one choice of diesel, a 2 litre, and that comes in varying outputs of 115 horsepower or 150 horsepower. And there's varying selections of automatic or manual. Our setup today is the 2 litre diesel with 150 brake horsepower and a 7-speed automatic DSG gearbox. So that's what we're dealing with. We'll take it out for a spin and see what it's like. So, the top line figures are 150 horsepower, 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 8.6 seconds, and your torque figure, and your boy torque, and your torque figure is 360 Newton meters, and that's available from around 1700 revs. So nice and low down and typically diesel. So what are the strong features of this setup, the 7-speed auto and the 2-litre diesel? Well, on the motorway it's excellent. At 100 kilometers an hour and 120, it's nice and relaxed. It's working away in the background, the engine isn't too loud, and you're getting some decent fuel economy. If you're doing most of your driving, like 90% on the motorway, longer commutes, I'd highly recommend this setup. Now, we are in the F4 Sport, as I've alluded to a few times now, and that is sport suspension and those 18-inch alloys. So you're kind of let down on the comfort front ever so slightly. Any kind of ruts in the road, and you do feel them in the cabin, and they do jar a bit, especially if they're a bit more severe and you weren't paying 190% attention and just clipped one that you could have avoided. Just shocks through the cabin and is a bit uncomfortable. So for that regard, for just a bit more comfort, a bit more sereneness, and if you were doing the miles, I would probably ease back into like 17 inches, maybe not take the F4 Sport and go more so for the Excellence model, which is the more relaxed, or even the SE, which is the more normal day-to-day stuff and not the stiffer suspension we have today. The engine still would suit that setup, but just maybe if you want a bit more comfort, go down to the more comfortable options. Straightforward, I know, but some cars do sport suspension and comfort really well. The A3 is one of them. This, not so much. You really do feel it through, and it could jar over time. The engine, on the other hand, is lovely for that setup, and the mid-range kick is excellent. I'll just do it now, just drop it down, and it actually puts you back in your seat, which is great for a diesel. And that's fun. That's fun, that torque, just boom, go. It is fun. There's enough power in 150 in this thing, that's for sure. So, overtaking, well, okay. Overtaking, not an issue once the engine knows what you're thinking. But sometimes the gearbox, the engine are not all in sync. And there's times where you're like, I planted my foot, and that gearbox just takes that second longer than you might expect. But you can mitigate that with some flappy paddles if you really feel like being a bit more sporty, and you can drop down the cogs yourself, time your overtake, and you'll be happy out with all that 360 Newton meters of torque. In town, I don't have any massive problems with visibility, maneuverability. It's a decent size, you can see out easy, wing mirrors are good, all of that's fine. Can't see. Right, see, look at this maneuverability, quite good. Steering is light, not a massive amount of feel in it. Right, so, moving on. Anyway, diesel doesn't suit town driving, so get one of the petrols, the 1.5 or the 1 litre, and you'll be golden. Now, if you're feeling a bit more sporty on some windy back roads, the Leon has surprised me, like a lot. It's a lot of fun. It handles well in the corners flat, and grip is actually really good. I think it has an electronic, I won't say limited slip diff, but an electronic diff that will help grip on a tyre that the computer senses is losing grip, send more to that side and just get you around the corner much better. It is fun and rewarding, and way more than I thought it would be. It's a good choice if you're after that sporty setup. Now maybe if we were on standard suspension and not the sport suspension of the F4 model, it mightn't be quite as fun, but would obviously be more comfortable. I cannot comment on that because I'm not driven a non-F4 one. So as I said, yeah, grips really well in the corners, handles surprisingly well, will actually put a smile on your face, and that engine with that massive boost of torque in the mid-range will at times make you giga. Just goes, yeah, whoops. Yeah, I like it a lot. In terms of fuel economy, say I'd quote 3.7 litres per 100 kilometers. Judging by the computer here in front of me, It has been getting kind of in the mid 5 litres to 100 kilometres. So not bad, and I think you could probably improve on that if you do driving that really suits the car, like that motorway stuff, the 100 kilometres an hour. When it settles down, it's calm, it's doing like 1500 revs. I'd say your economy would shoot up if that's the style of driving you're doing. I don't like lane keep assist. Alright, I'm gonna just rant about this and see what happens. Lane keep assist is great. Now this isn't just that, say it, this is universal. Lane keep assist is great on a nice big motorway when it settles you down, moves you in and out and keeps you in your lane. On Irish back roads with random like divot lines and tram lines, sometimes the cameras will follow those lines as if they're the middle point of the road and can put you in just weird situations, and you're just pisses you off. Keep it in mind if you do live down these style of roads and you're getting lane keep assist, because it will drive you bonkers, break your heart. Rant over. So that's our Say It Leon video. Please do let us know what you think in the comments. I've certainly enjoyed my time with this. I would highly recommend it to anyone looking at a small 5-door hatchback. It's a great choice, great value for what you're paying, and good looking. I'm sure reliability is decent. Yeah, it's hard to argue against this. I'm failing to see the appeal of a Golf above this when you're just paying more. I think a Golf starts at like 4 grand more base than this. And I was struggling to see, obviously I've not driven it, so I can't comment specifically, but I'm struggling to see why you would pick a Golf over this. It's a great car. Really enjoyed my week with it. Might be one of the best out there. Please subscribe if you're first time here, or if you haven't, helps us all out a lot. Do give us a comment on what you think about the Leon. Would you take it over a Golf? If you want to search Cars Ireland for a Leon, please do click on the link above. So one last thing before I go, you may be wondering about the scooter featured in the video today. Well, this is a Seat EXS kick scooter, and it costs about €500. It's powered by electricity. It will do up to 25 kilometers an hour. It has a range of 25 kilometers and takes, I think, 3 or 4 hours to charge. And it's good fun.